my first time riding a bike in at least 15 years. Let's see how we do. Well, we got bikes, so we're trying this whole bike riding thing on the beach like everybody's doing down here. I say everybody, there's hardly anybody on the beach. There's a few people fishing behind us, but Miss Ad's having the time of her life.
Yes.
We thought we'd join her. I think it's fun.
Yes.
It's cool, so it's not like you're gonna get too hot, but
yeah, we're hoping to take another bike ride tomorrow, so we were kind of testing where our seats were and all that kind of stuff.
Our stamina. I haven't ridden a bike in probably 15 years, and the last time I did, things fell asleep. So I learned that
things?
There was a guy that I worked with that rode bikes. That was his thing, and he rode them all the time for really long periods of time. And I bought a bike, like I said, it was about 15, 17 years ago, and I was having issues with it. And I said, man, how do you keep things from falling asleep? And he goes, you mean sleepy pee-pee? Because I guess with bike riders, that's a real thing. And so now I'm testing to see if things stay awake. So far, so good.
I'm glad, I'm sure they're glad to have a status update here.
I'll let you know how it turns out.
Let's not.
Okay, we're gonna go bike riding. So, like I said, I haven't ridden a bicycle in 15 years, at least. That's good exercise. I need to work on my stamina. Did you guys have a good time?
We had fun. You gotta go cook.
I gotta go
cook. It's your night to cook.
That's right.
This crock pot is closed.
Whatever Dad's cooking, I forget the name of it.
Gonna cook some shrimp and crawfish etouffee.
Alright,
Hi, welcome back to our camper kitchen here down in sunny Galveston, Texas. Y'all just saw that we went on a bike ride, had a great time riding our bikes up and down the beach. It was my first time on a bike in about 15 years, so I got some getting used to it to do, but my legs feel good and I'm hungry. Mama and Miss Ad went to the store a little bit ago to pick up some supplies that we need, like some duct tape and some electrical tape and some other things, an onion and stuff. So while they're out, I decided I was going to make dinner today, which is going to be a shrimp and crawfish etouffee. Now, if y'all remember, Miss Ad and I made a gumbo a while back for Cooking Chris's Dishes, and it was really popular. And we were at one of the restaurants down here in Galveston the other day, and they served crawfish etouffee. And I've had crawfish etouffee before, and it was really, really good. So I definitely want it again. I tried it, and it was phenomenal. So I want to kind of do a spin on it this way. Now, this is not a crock pot recipe. This isn't even an Instant Pot recipe. I do have my Instant Pot out, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. This is a stovetop recipe, but I'm also going to use my Instant Pot because I want to try making rice in the Instant Pot, because I want you to take a look at this. And we'll do it through this camera over here, but you see this? This is a very small area right here. You got 3 burners, but if you put a pot on the burner right there, and then I'll grab another pot out, and let's say you wanted to, I don't know, fry bacon, you can't really get that on there without moving your skillet, your pot, whatever, away from the direct heat there. Your real estate is very, very small. So, what I'm going to do is put my skillet back up. I'm going to break up my area by using my Instant Pot to cook my rice while I do my etouffee on my stovetop. But what you're going to need for this recipe is green pepper. Had to think about it there for a minute. Celery. Yellow onion. Does anybody know what this is called? Pop quiz? Pop quiz, anybody? Let's help you out here. There's 3. It is the Trinity. That's right, for all y'all. Let's see if I can bring it over here where y'all can see it in the camera. Celery, onion, and green pepper are what they would consider in Cajun or Creole cooking as the Trinity. If you're cooking in France, the Trinity over there is celery and onion and carrots. But for Cajun or Creole style cooking, for this etouffee, we're going to use the Trinity of celery and onion and green pepper. I've got about a cup of green pepper, about a cup of green onion, and I used 3 ribs of celery. I probably could have used 1 more, but I didn't feel like chopping it up anymore. And I want to be careful. I'll show you that here in a minute. I'm going to use Slap Your Mama for the Creole seasoning because we love Slap Your Mama back home. I'm going to use 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. You could use diced tomatoes. Some people use tomato paste, but I'm going to use 1 can of this. I'm going to give it a little bit of spice. We like this particular brand, so diced tomato with green chilies. I'm also going to use clam juice, and the reason I'm using 8 ounces of clam juice is because I didn't make a shrimp stock. A lot of different places will tell you that if you're going to use, if you're going to make an etouffee or a gumbo or a jambalaya or whatever, you're going to use something with seafood, then you're going to want a stock, kind of like a chicken stock, only they say to use shrimp stock. And I guess the way to make that is to boil down the shells from the shrimp. Now, I'm not going to do all that because I got some peeled shrimp already. So to add to the seafood flavor, I'm going to use me some clam juice. Now, the stars of the show are here. And that is 1 pound of crawfish. That's detailed crawfish. And also 1 pound of small shrimp. Medium to small shrimp will work. 1 pound of both. Now, if you look, it's hard to see there, but if I show you here, you see that juice right there? That is the juice from the shrimp as well as from the crawfish. I did not let any of that drain out because I want to use it for the flavor. That'll also help me to use less stock later. I'm probably going to have to use some chicken stock. Honestly, I don't know because I've never done this before. All this is coming from up here in this very small space. I'm hoping that it turns out good. And then to make my roux, and if you remember what a roux is where you take your flour as well as butter. A lot of people say to use oil because they say that butter burns too easy. I'm going to get a little risky and do something my own way. And I'm going to use flour with butter, and I also render down some fat from about a ½ pound of bacon, really thick bacon, crumbly bacon, because I'm going to add that bacon later to give it even more flavor and also a little bit of saltiness on top, a little crunch as well. But right here what I have is about a ½ cup of bacon fat that's been rendered down and a ½ cup of butter. So what I'm going to do, come back over here to this camera, is I've got my butter and I've got my bacon fat. Now I want to take a ½ cup of flour. This is just plain white flour. And this is where I'm going to go to make my roux. Now, that's 1 cup, I'm sorry. A ½ cup of bacon fat, a ½ cup of butter, and then 1 cup, because you want a 1-to-1 ratio between your butter and your bacon. I'm sorry, your butter and your flour. Your fat and your flour, pretty much. You want the 1-to-1 ratio. You want equal amounts. And I'm going to stir that in, and this is where I'm going to make the roux. And this is what's going to take the time. All of your time goes into this pretty much, where you have to watch it non-stop because this stuff will burn easy. Butter burns easy. Bacon fat can burn easy. So I'm being very, very risky here doing this. But what I want to do is I want to cook this flour in the oils that I've given, in the fat that I have put in here, which is my butter and my bacon fat. And I think that's going to give it a salty, smoky flavor. But this is going to take some time. So we'll speed up the tape here so that you don't have to continue to watch me stir. Unless y'all like the fact that this is hypnotizing. Look. Ooh, stir. But what we'll do is we'll take this from a blonde roux, which is what this is right here. So this is blonde, like a girl's pretty blonde hair. We're going to take that down to a brown roux. Some people take it all the way down to the color of chocolate. I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to go to the color of peanut butter, where it's brown, but definitely not darkened. I don't necessarily want to have a very dark roux with this. That's just a personal preference. It's whatever you want. But we'll speed up the tape. And in fact, you will see that this roux is done in 3, 2, 1. And that is what you want your roux to look like. See how it looks like peanut butter? Like a really thin peanut butter, that color there. And it smells really, really nutty in the camper right now. And that's what you're looking for. What you're doing is you're cooking that flour. And then once you get your roux to the color that you want, and again, you have to constantly stir it because you don't want that sticking to the bottom or the sides. You want it to do an even cook. And also another thing, I'm being a little risky by using butter over oil, but I really just don't want to use oil. I want that butter flavor in there, and then also I use the bacon because I want that bacon flavor, and then I'll end up using that bacon later to go over the top of my roux. Or over the top of my etouffee, sorry. So now what I want to do, that's nice and hot, is I want to start cooking my trinity. So I got my bell pepper, I got my onion, and I've got my celery for a Cajun or Creole trinity. And I'm going to stir that in, and I want to cook this down until it all softens up. The onions soften up, the celery softens up, the bell pepper gets all soft, and it's going to soak up that oil. This trailer smells so good already, and I'm not even halfway done with the start of this etouffee. Well, I'm going to let that cook down for a little bit, drop the heat, and just let all those flavors marry up together in this trinity. Trinity, by the way, means 3. Again, if you were doing French cooking, the trinity pop quiz, do you know what it is? Would be onion, celery, and carrots. That's right. We're doing the Cajun trinity, the Creole trinity, which is onions and celery and green pepper. I've heard that red or yellow pepper works as well. But we had green pepper, great big green peppers down here in Texas where we're at. I'm going to let that cook down, and then I will let you know that as we're doing that, I'm going to try and do a rice in our Instant Pot. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Let me grab, as soon as I find out what drawer it's in, there we go. Now, Instant Pot's website is really good for information. This is 1 cup. And they say to use rinsed rice. I'm still not sure why, and I'll do more Googling on that later. But let me grab my knife here. I'm going to use 1 cup. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to use 2 cups of rinsed rice. What I should have done is gotten something. Well, you know what? This uses 2 cups. I need to get some. I'm not really sure how to rinse rice. How do you rinse rice? Because all of my colanders are too big. So let me stir this one more time as this is cooking down. Gosh, that smells good. This ad is in for a treat tonight. Let me go grab a bowl real quick. That may help my cause. Oops, that didn't help my cause at all. One thing we're trying to figure out here is space management, power management, places to put our appliance plugins. Luckily, I didn't have anything important plugged in there, so we're good. Ooh, that wasn't good. How in the world did she have this plugged in? There it is, right there. All right. All right, so 1 cup. Let me grab 1 more cup here of our rice. And 2 cups rather, of this white rice that I've got, and I've just got a long grain white rice. This is going to yield 6 cups of regular rice, so 6 to 8 servings. But it says to rinse the rice, which I will do now. I almost think it kind of primes the rice for what it's about to get into. But I'll rinse that off. I don't really have a way to strain it, so I'll strain it like that. There's a lot of starch that's coming off of it. You can see that, kind of like what you do with the potatoes. But rinse that off. It'll be good like it is. Let me give this 1 more stir. Get some even cooking going here with my veggies. They're starting to soften up, which is a good thing. Mom and Miss Ad just got back. They're hanging outside right now while I finish this part of the taping. Oh, goodness, that smells good. I think they'll be happy with what I'm about to do. So I'm going to go to my Instant Pot. I'm going to take my lid off. And I am going to grab 2 cups of water. Again, you want to go to a 1-to-1 ratio here. Water pressure is a little low in this park, which I guess that's something we're learning how to contend with, but thank goodness we still have water. That's a good thing. Let's make sure. If you can hear that tap dancing around, that's my dog, because he hears Mom and Ad outside. There we go, 2 cups. And so he's really wanting to see them. 2 cups of water. And then I will put my 2 cups of rice in there. I'm not going to season it. No salt, no pepper, no nothing. Straight up white rice in my Instant Pot. And we'll see how this cooks up. I have never done this part before either. So this could be an epic fail or an epic win. We're about to find out. I'll stir that up real good. Now, get rid of that. Put the lid on it. And I believe, I'm going straight from Instant Pot's site here. Instant Pot says to do it from 3 to 8 minutes. So I'm going to do warmer off. Manual. That's right, you hit manual twice. And then, so you hit manual twice. Shut the warmer off. And then bring it down. And I'm going to do mine for 6 minutes. And that should go to beeping here in just a second. Maybe. Rice is cooking. And then I'm going to let that natural release for a few minutes as well. So I'm not going to mess with that rice anymore until we're ready to serve. But this has cooked down quite a bit. The peppers and the onions and the celery are starting to get softened up. So now is when I want to add the rest of my ingredients, which will be my can of diced tomatoes with chilies. And since I didn't make a shrimp stock, I'm going to use 8 ounces of clam juice. Oh, it smells good. It's going to give it that seafood, that briny smell. And then I'm also going to reach in the fridge and grab just a little bit. Oh, I got to move my camera to do it. Grab just a little bit of chicken broth. I'm going to use about a half a cup, I think. Just like that. Let's fix my camera so I can see what we're doing here. Alright. And, you know, Creole, Cajun, you got to have some seasoning. And again, we are big fans of Slap Your Mama seasoning. My daughter, who hated hot seasoning, hated anything spicy, got a hold of this one night on some shrimp, and she absolutely loved it. So now we gauge all hot food by what she can handle with Slap Your Mama. And I'm like, oh, it's almost Slap Your Mama hot, but not quite. And she'll eat it right up. So we're going to use some Slap Your Mama. I'm going to use probably about 2 tablespoons. There's about a tablespoon. And there's about a tablespoon. Let me give this a good stir. Yeah, that smells really good. I could add tomato paste to this as well. It depends on just how acidic you want it, how tomatoey you want it. There's going to be plenty of flavors, I believe, in here. Oh, that's already thickening up real good, just like that. Let me give this a good stir. And then when I come back at a snap of a finger, we'll show you the next step, which is the easiest step. It's the shortest step, but it's the longest step to wait on. Right after this in 3, 2, 1. And now for the hardest part of the whole thing. This is the last 3 minutes of the cooking cycle on this etouffee. Everything is cooked down. It's thickened up like a gravy because, well, etouffee in French means smothered or suffocated or smothered. Can you think of anything in American that is smothered and covered? Oh, I don't know, mashed taters, rice, anything that's cooked over a gravy, because pretty much that's what we're making, is gravy. So now I'm going to take my unrinsed, undrained shrimp and crawfish and put them in my roux mix. And then I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit because that's going to drop the heat considerably. That's going to drop that temperature down. And the reason I didn't drain my shrimp or my crawfish is because I want that flavor. I mean, that clam's going to add some, but since I didn't do a shrimp stock, I want the flavors of that crawfish and the flavors of that shrimp in there. And as I did that, my rice is telling me it is done. It's now going to go through its natural release. Maybe it's going to continue to beep. But I want to cook this until my shrimp is pink. Again, that's why I turned up the heat. So I'm going to let that sit. I'm also going to keep stirring again because I don't want any of this to stick on the bottom. This is a flour-based mixture, so you don't want that flour to stick on the bottom and burn. I'm not looking for burnt. I'm looking for beautiful. Kind of like when I went looking for my wife. She's in the other room shaking her head right now. She just got back from the store. So I'm going to let that cook for about 3 minutes, which will be about the time my rice gets done, and then it'll be about time for dinner, which Miss Ed and I and Mama are all looking forward to. So we'll be back one more time in 3, 2, 1. And now our etouffee is done. Look how thick that is. Just like a gravy. A gumbo is more like a soup. A jambalaya is more like a paella. And an etouffee is more like a gravy, really. But that shrimp is cooked. It's pink. It's opaque. Of course, the crawfish is already cooked, along with all those vegetables in that broth, that gravy mix. So now, what I want to do is cross my fingers and check my rice. Let's see what happens. I have no idea how this rice is going to turn out. I'm hoping that it turns out good because everything else is ready. I am excited to finish this off and eat it. I'm sure you guys are too because you're going to want some. I've been licking the spoon as I've been stirring and it tastes really good. I gave a little lick to Miss Ad and she says it's perfect. It adds just a little heat on the back end but not enough to scare you away. So now what we're going to do is wait on that little metal thing to drop down. Again, I let this cook for, what was it, I think it was 6 minutes, and then let it natural release for about 10. So that way it's going to cool down on its own, and then I'll vent it out. I don't want to do a manual release on this again. If y'all remember what I did with the Instant Pot Roast with Lou, I don't want to cover my ceiling in steam and water and rice juice. So just let it do it on its own, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, there we go. She just popped down, so it's safe to remove the lid. And so far it looks good. Let me move this over here. Let me grab a spoon. I'm going to go ahead and grab this camera too so y'all can see what I'm talking about. And I'm doing this by the advice of what was on Instant Pot. So pardon me with my tripod here. But I used Instant Pot's advice on how to make the rice. And oh wow. I'm pleased. That's the way rice is supposed to look. Look at that. Check that out. Minus all the steam that I'm getting there. Sorry. That is what rice is supposed to look like. Hey, maybe Instant Pot really knows what they're talking about. That is steamed rice right there, y'all. Cool beans. Alright, so let's get rid of this. Let's get into what we need to do. So I'm going to take some rice. Put in the bottom of my bowl. Now, I studied different ways. We've got all kinds of bloggers. We've got chefs. Everybody knows a certain way to make etouffee their way. And one way that I really liked was when I checked out Emeril Lagasse's, I guess it was one of his students on YouTube that did it this way. But he separates his rice. He doesn't just put the etouffee over the rice. He puts it to the side. Let me get a little bit more because I love rice. And we don't eat a lot of rice around here. So when I get an opportunity to, I want to go crazy. So half rice and then half etouffee. I'm going to do it like that so I can mix it in how I want to. You got crawfish, you got shrimp. But don't touch it yet. I'm going to grab that bacon. Y'all remember when I said that I use butter and bacon fat for this? That's what we're doing here. And then some places tell you to use green onion and chop it up. I want to add a little bit more crunch. Maybe a little more sweetness to the mix here. So I am going to add some French fried onions over the top of it. So French fried onions right over the top of it like this. This is my plate, so I'm going to add a lot of French fried onions over the top of it. And then in place of a bunch of salt, that thick, crispy bacon that I made a while ago by rendering it down for the fat that I needed right over the top. And this is what shrimp and crawfish etouffee looks like in our camper kitchen. And you know my face what it tastes like. Let's give her a shot. Let me grab a little base of rice there. Make sure I get some bacon, some of that onion. Let's give her an attempt. I know it's hot. It's burning my fingers. I'm having an emotional experience, y'all. So rice is good on its own, of course. You know, that makes for a good base of it, kind of like mashed taters does with fried chicken and stuff like that. But we're big fans, again, like I said, of that Slap Your Mama. And that Slap Your Mama adds some salt. It adds some spices. It adds some heat, but not a lot. I use 2 tablespoons for that whole thing. You can back off if you want to and add more later once you've got your finished product. Add some heat if you need. I think it's perfect with 2 tablespoons. Now, the French fried onions on top gives it some more sweet. It definitely gives it a crunch. which a crunch on top of everything you got going on in there is fantastic. And then you put that bacon crumbled up on top like that. That crunchy, thick bacon. It gives you something else to chew on. It has another smoky element to it. It gives you salt, so I would not salt that anymore. It doesn't need it. The only thing I can take on top of that maybe is a big old piece of French bread. But we're eating low carb around here. As I eat a big old thing of rice and a bunch of stuff made with flour. So I'm going to not do the French bread. I'm just going to enjoy the rice like it is. Again, this is a treat. This is a Sunday night thing after a long bike ride and a long week of pretty much eating pretty good. I've been on a trip here, so I've been eating not all low carb, but totally worth it to go off the wagon and do this. Fantastic. Absolutely giving that a thumbs up. Totally worth it. Totally worth that bike ride today. If you like what y'all saw here, give us a thumbs up down below in this video. Also, if you have not become a member of our Crock Posse, I urge you, I beg you, I plead with you, join our family. All you got to do is click subscribe down below. You'll see all the recipes we do, all the silly stuff we do, all the traveling that we do here in the camper kitchen. And also, if you dig what you're seeing, if you want to check us out over at patreon.com/recipesthatcrock to find out different ways to support this channel, absolutely. We love you, we thank you, and if y'all keep watching, we'll keep cooking, and all will be well. Etouffee.